Au sommaire de ce JT, le docteur Paul Chang et Brian Cazet, éditeur-in-chief de Hunt Mini, nous livrent leurs impressions sur le RSNA 2019.
La médicale vous présente le journal du RSNA.
So Paul, what is your take on this RSNA?
Well, it's interesting. As you know, my interest is in informatics, and I guess the big buzzword still is artificial intelligence. I think this year, especially when you compare it from last year, I think the good news is that I think we're past the hysteria. You know, like, oh my gosh, AI is going to replace radiologists. We don't hear that anymore. In fact, now it's an interesting thing. It's a happy problem. Now radiologists are saying they're actually increasingly impatient. They're actually saying, okay, fine. It's not going to replace me, but how is it going to help me? And now they're getting increasingly impatient because, quite frankly, even though the exhibits are flashier and bigger, there hasn't been significant difference in the offerings, and that's expected. That's not bad news. That's expected because this is going to be a long journey. What people forget is that radiology, you know, it takes us longer than anyone anticipates to adopt new technology. We've gone through this in the past with PACS, speech recognition, a lot of things. We always overestimate and overpromise in the beginning. We always underestimate how long it takes to appropriately consume technology. And only in retrospect do we actually see how transformative it was, you know, because it's going to take time. Artificial intelligence is not going to be any different. And so I think the major difference this year is no more fear, now impatience. And maybe a slight little bit of disappointment, dissatisfaction, like why isn't it integrated yet? Why are the solutions? Why is it still at the feasibility phase? Because that's kind of where we are right now. We're still in feasibility. We haven't really demonstrated that it affects real change in the real world yet, but it's coming like anything else. So I think that's the one observation I have this year, and that's a healthy and predictable sign.
My take is that there are two philosophies this year. One is the marketplaces,
Right.
And the other one is the more integrated solution. So what's your take on that?
So they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, they address legitimately different problems that are all legitimate and have to be addressed. So I don't see it as either or. I see it as you need a lot of different kind of solutions. I think the marketplace clearinghouse type thing addresses a fundamental problem, and that is discovery. How do I discover all these algorithms that are being developed by all these clever groups? How do I discover them? And more importantly, how do I integrate them into my workflow? The other class of vendors, and a lot of them include the legacy vendors that have always existed, is saying, well, no, you could trust us. We will build the algorithms ourselves. I think both sides need each other. I think the startups lack the courage to understand that they have to be more than just peripherals to the legacy systems. And I think the legacy vendors need to understand that they need to re-engineer their legacy systems to be able to fully leverage machine learning. So I see the dichotomy. I think in the future, if I had to predict, you're going to see both kind of meld together. I think the legacy vendors are going to understand that they have to collaborate with where the agile developers are. They're going to have to work with these discovery services, these marketplaces. Now, who owns them or whatever, I'm less interested in. The market will tell, because if they deliver and all that, the people who survive and win will do it that way using good business practice. But I think the principles actually are important, and you'll see both.
And also they're going to have to collaborate with radiologists for the use case to give you a useful solution and not useless solution.
Exactly, and that's actually to me, that's probably the most important thing that I am not seeing yet. Right now, I actually think the algorithms that we can buy now, the way they train them, AI is a statistical method, which means you have to continuously tune them. You have to train them with real data and your own data. And the problem is we lack the basic infrastructure to support that. So I actually do believe that I hope to see next year attempts and improvements of basic infrastructure, how to extract information from our production systems to be able, in the clinical setting, not in the industry setting and not in the lab, not by just data scientists, but by knowledge workers, radiologists, physicians, our technologists, our administrators, how to leverage their own production data to actually get insight using artificial intelligence.
It's almost the end of the RSNA. What are the main trends?
Well, the main trend is artificial intelligence. That was the big trend last year, but I think what we're seeing this year is that artificial intelligence is starting to come even closer to market. We've got even more AI algorithms that have FDA clearance, and we are starting to see the structure set up for how these tools will be used daily in clinical practice. So it's a little too cumbersome for radiologists to have to kind of go and pick individual algorithms to use. So what we're seeing is the rise of marketplaces, kind of like an app store, kind of like a Google Play Store or your Apple iTunes store, where you can go in and just kind of pick and choose apps that you want just from like one single location. But what a lot of I'm hearing at the show is radiologists believing that artificial intelligence is going to become so bundled into their daily work that you may not even know it's there. You know, it becomes kind of an unconscious thing, like almost like a spell check. You know, when you're using your Microsoft Word, you don't have to check every single word to spell it. It just kind of comes on, and so that is really what it looks like is going to be the really interesting piece of artificial intelligence coming up. There's a lot of other uses for AI. One of the most intriguing things is using AI for data reconstruction. So initially, AI was being used to analyze images, to look at a chest X-ray and see is there a lung nodule there. Look at a breast mass and see look at a mammogram and see is there a breast mass in there. But what a lot of companies are doing is they're starting to use AI when the data is acquired and then reconstructed into an image. And AI has got a lot of really exciting possibilities there in terms of being able to take images that were acquired with lower radiation dose and turn them into a really high quality image, because in radiology you need to use, if you use more radiation, you usually end up with a higher quality image. In MRI, taking an image acquired at maybe a lower field strength and turning it into an image that looks like a very high field image. So a lot of really exciting areas like that.
You've been talking about marketplace. My take is that there are two philosophies, that compete together right now. The one is AI in a marketplace, or the other one is AI integrated in a solution, which is.
Yeah, and you're also seeing that like where the AI is running on board a scanner. And so one of the exciting applications of that I saw was AI running on a mobile X-ray system. And so the thing with the way that mobile X-ray is usually used is you take a scanner on wheels and you roll it around the hospital and you acquire a bunch of images from patients, and then you bring them back to the radiology department and they get uploaded in wireless and somebody looks at it. Well, the problem is, what if you have a patient who's having a clinical condition right there? You don't want to have to wait until that mobile system gets back to the radiologist or the radiology department. So the AI is running on board that mobile X-ray system and is analyzing images, in real time. And if you do an image of a patient and they're having a pneumothorax, it can alert the technologist immediately and say, you need to get this patient in for aggressive intervention.
If you had one thing to put forward, the stunning stuff, of RSNA, your best of the best, what would it be?
I think it's going to be, AI is going to change this industry in the same way that PACS changed it. We originally had, images were viewed on X-ray film with the big light box. And when radiology changed to digital imaging, that just opened up, so many new frontiers. And I think that a really similar trend is starting to happen with AI. And I think that, we really are, a lot of people talk about, well, is this all vaporware? Is this really going to happen? How many of these companies are going to be in business? But I think in the long term, this is going to have a really dramatic effect on radiology, similar to what digital imaging did.
La médicale vous a présenté le journal du RSNA.